Welcome to the Post Credits Podcast, where we talk about movies after the credits roll. My name is Jesse.
And I'm Jack.
And today we are reading from the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon, to resurrect evil forces in our review of the newest Evil Dead movie, Evil Dead Burn.
Because it's hot.
It is coming out of the gate swinging. We're on our A game today.
This is a very hot and sexual movie.
So Logan and Max at the moment have gone off to fight in the Trojan War, which leaves us together to review the new Evil Dead movie.
Yeah.
The Evil Dead as a franchise started in 1981. The first one was directed by Sam Raimi. And Sam Raimi went on to do two follow-ups, Evil Dead 2, which was mostly a remake, and Army of Darkness, which was a sequel to Evil Dead 2. Then in 2013, they rebooted the series with Fede Alvarez at the front. And since then, it's sort of become this forum for up-and-coming horror filmmakers to make like an Evil Dead movie and get a career boost from it. So we had, going back to Sam Raimi, right? Evil Dead was his first movie. Fede Alvarez, the remake of Evil Dead, was his first movie. He's gone on to do a lot of cool stuff. Don't Breathe and Alien Romulus. And then they did a follow-up to the remake, which wasn't a sequel, but just another disconnected story told in the same universe. That was called Evil Dead Rise by filmmaker Lee Cronin. Lee Cronin has gone on to do Lee Cronin's The Mummy,
which was really bad.
It was not good, but it definitely boosted his career. So before we jump any further into Evil Dead as a whole, we should ask the question, how did you hear about Evil Dead Burn?
Jesse asked me a week before we saw the movie, hey, do you want to go see Evil Dead Burn? And I said, sure. That's how I found out.
I found out when I was researching for the most anticipated for this year. I saw that there was an Evil Dead movie called Evil Dead Burn coming out this year. And I knew Max was really into the Evil Dead series, so I started watching the Evil Dead movies in anticipation of Burn being on his most anticipated list, and it was. The movie was announced in February of 2024 as a spin-off to Evil Dead Rise. So, and it sort of is. We'll explain a little bit how it's connected soon. And it was directed by a guy named Sebastian Vanacek, who did one weird French horror movie called Infested in 2023. And since then, nothing until Evil Dead Burn. So he's like a weird French director, which is always fun to see. And yeah, that debut Infested, I haven't seen it, but it is what got him the job. How familiar are you with Evil Dead, like as a series?
I watched Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness very close together, and other than that, I've not really touched it. I've seen a lot of clips from Evil Dead 1, but I'm not like a super fan, but I do absolutely adore Army of Darkness. It's probably I think it is like one of my favorite movies ever. Everything about it is so perfect.
Yeah, I quite like Army of Darkness. It was my favorite when I watched through the whole series. And if you want to know the particulars of how I rank each one, then you can check out my Letterboxd. I have a ranking there. But what it came down to was I found that the Sam Raimi trilogy was the best three Evil Dead movies were the first three. Yeah. And then the remakes were not bad, but Fede Alvarez's remake didn't get close to beating the original. And Lee Cronin's Evil Dead Rise, I thought, was the worst of the series, frankly. So yeah, coming into this, I was excited because I like to see new filmmakers sort of break out onto the scene. And I actually had heard about Sebastian Vanacek's first movie, Infested. It was reviewed on a podcast that I quite enjoyed, and they said it was good. So I was like, okay, well, I want to see what this guy does with Evil Dead. But then again, like, we hadn't had a good an Evil Dead movie as good as anything that Sam Raimi had done.
It's hard to, obviously it's like that was like Sam Raimi's, like that was like his thing. He's like, right. Okay, you have your entire life to come up with I forget who said it, but it's like, oh, you have your entire life to write your first album. And it's like, okay, yeah, I think the same thing can be applied to movies. It's like, you go back and you see stuff from Evil Dead, and it's like, oh, he like has definitely like had that transition in mind since he was like 15, and he was just been like waiting to use it.
Yeah, and I think the thing with Evil Dead in the modern era is that there is no such thing as a movie quite like Evil Dead ever in the series again, because now the studio owns it. I mean, like, yeah, Sam Raimi still has very much control over the direction that the series heads into, and Bruce Campbell,
a lot of input,
is also involved. So, like, the original creators, it's not like the studio took it away from them. They're still involved. It's just that now the original, like, the people that are making the new ones have a lot more money, and there's a lot more people that care, have vested interest in the turnout of the movie, which just makes it like you can't do Evil Dead again. But it's a double-edged sword. It means that if you try to do Evil Dead again, you're probably going to fail. But it also means that you can take it in a new direction and succeed. But I don't think that we had seen that done necessarily over the newer Evil Dead movies.
Yeah. Also, I think there is something to be said where it's like, you can't do Evil Dead again. I think there's like, obviously, it's like, okay, small passion project where it's like, I just want to make something absolutely crazy. But also there's, since those first movies, there's been such like a boom in like horror comedy or just like parody movies in general that like, I feel like Army of Darkness especially is like, wow, like I had never seen anything like it even now, where it's like the way it blends like horror and comedy and action like all in one, and it's so seamless. It doesn't feel forced at all. It's all just so natural.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And yeah, I mean, like, Army of Darkness is such a weird movie that I don't expect any other Evil Dead to go in that direction, but the standard has been set,
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to be the best, you have to beat this movie that does something so strange and so unusual so well. Not to say that you have to do something strange and unusual, but you have to at least outclass what Army of Darkness did. But that being said, like, I don't think the bar was set at Army of Darkness for these newer movies. I think the bar was set at The Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Which is weirdly, like, considered... I mean, I think it's the worst of the Raimi trilogy.
Yeah.
Because it's just Evil Dead 2 is that, but better in every way. And I don't think any movie had managed to do that, even. And I mean, I know you haven't seen the new ones.
I have not, but it's tough to. I think I really, really, really enjoyed this movie as a movie. But as an if you go into it with the expectations of like, oh, this is going to be classic Evil Dead, it's like, it leaves a little bit to be desired. I think it's a little bit heavier on the horror rather than comedy, which is like, that's fair enough, right? You've got to do your own thing with it. Army of Darkness is so comedic, it's like almost too far on the other side.
Yeah, so with that being said, I think we should jump into Evil Dead Burn. And yeah, we'll let's go. It starts with an opening that usually, like, usually in these Evil Dead movies, especially the newer ones, it starts with this sort of disconnected coda in which it's like, oh, here's a Deadite killing some people.
Yeah.
This actually starts, the first shot of the movie is of Joseph Price, our secondary main character, played by Hunter Duhan, who is doing a great Skarsgård impression.
He is.
And he is listening to the tape. And if you know the Evil Dead movies, you know the tape. There's this tape where this person is always saying, somebody found the Necronomicon, and now they read from it. I'm going to read from it, or they're reading from it, and now bad things have happened.
Bad news, guys. I got bad news.
But this one is different because he says that other people unleashed the Deadites, but he knows how to fix it because he discovered something called the Kandarian Dagger.
Kandarian Dagger.
Which is a plot point from Evil Dead 2. The person on the tape, whose name we will later learn is Benjamin, and he's voiced by Michael Hurst, he says that the Kandarian Dagger can kill the Deadites. He says that also he hid the Kandarian Dagger under like the floorboards of the attic that Joseph Price is currently in. Joseph Price drops his pen and goes to pick up his pen and discovers the Kandarian Dagger, but the Kandarian Dagger is like it attracts the Deadites. So we actually start, when it cuts away from that scene, we start at the beginning of Evil Dead Rise. But the beginning of Evil Dead Rise takes place chronologically at the end of Evil Dead Rise. So all of Evil Dead Rise happens, and then the cold open happens. And in the cold open of Evil Dead Rise, we're introduced via one of the best opening title sequences in all of cinema, in my opinion. We're introduced to Deadite Jessica. Jessica was dating one of the people in the cold open of Evil Dead Rise and turned into a Deadite and killed them. And she stayed at that same waterfront, that same port. And 2 more people have come along. And so she kills both of them in much more interesting ways than they do in a lot of the other Evil Dead movies. That's one of the things that I really like about this movie, is its kills are...
They're very creative. Out of the box.
Creative. So... They're fishing, and then Jessica sends a bunch of fishing hooks from the water to go and like hook the guy into the water. And when the other guy sees that his friend has been dragged into the water and is not swimming too well, he dives into the water. In response, Jessica starts boiling the lake.
Which is, I'm going to be honest, that was the last thing I expected. It's like, oh, he's going to get dragged under too. Nope, boiled alive.
And it's crazy because like he climbs out of the water, and Jessica steps on him, and his flesh is so tender because he's been boiled, it like literally peels off. It
falls off his bones, which is kind of gnarly, but I respect it. Also, really cool shot of when the water's boiling and all the fish pop up too.
Yeah. Deadite Jessica then decides to stand on the road, and there's a car coming. And she's just there, and the car comes and hits her, and as soon as it hits her, smash cut, woman twerking.
Not much left to the imagination. A very kind of focused shot, which I enjoyed quite a bit.
And in case you were thinking like, oh, I've seen enough, I get the idea of this shot. No, you haven't.
No, you haven't.
It lasts for between 5 to 10 seconds.
Yeah,
It really stays on screen. And it works because, you just witnessed this woman get hit by a car. But this scene that it smash cut to takes place before then. This is the backstory to that car crash. There's like a big party in this like van, I think, or it's not even like a van. No, it's just like a club.
Yeah, it's a club.
Because I thought it was a van. I thought it was a van, like a party limo or something. No, it's just
it's just
like a regular club.
It's like a restaurant thing.
Yeah, it's like a club, and they're celebrating Joseph Price's birthday.
Happy birthday!
Yay!
He turned 4 years old.
He's the youngest person ever. So we are then introduced to a bunch of people. Joseph's girlfriend is named Thea. She's played by Lucienne Buchanan. We're introduced to our main character, Alice, played by Sohaila Yacoub. And Alice is married to Joseph's brother. His name is Will, played by George Pullar. So those are, pretty important characters, and Will decides that like, oh, we're gonna give Joseph a present from the both of us, like from both him and Alice.
Yeah.
And that does not turn out well. He gives him a pen, like a $10,000 pen. But then Alice is like, oh, I found this picture of you, and so I thought to like frame it and give it to you as like a present. And Will is livid.
He's so angry. He's so pissed.
He's so mad. And he's like, no, he says to the waiter, like, get me another bottle.
Yeah.
And Alice is like, you've had like 10 bottles. And he's like, I'm just letting loose.
I'm having fun by getting very, very drunk. That's what I'm going to do. And then driving. Wink, wink.
So, him and Alice get into this ridiculously huge fight. And he heads outside and he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna go home. And Joseph's like, no, you can't. You're not gonna go home. I'm gonna drive you home because you're drunk. But Will's like, no, I'm fine.
He literally goes like, nuh-uh, and then he just goes in the car.
Yeah, anyway. He just goes in the car, drives, hits a deadite, swerves off of the road, tumble, and this is a really cool scene. The deadite Jessica is like stuck in the car window, like the window, and she closes the window and it like decapitates her.
It was kind of nasty.
Yeah. But then because she's a deadite, she's fine. And she lights the car on fire and recites a passage to turn Will into a deadite and I guess potentially free her of her deaditism. And yeah, so now we assume that Will is to become a deadite, but we don't see it. We zoom into the fire and we get a title card. Title card.
Evil Dead burn because the fire. Because the fire. Also, I just realized that it's like, oh, Alice is probably French because the director's French.
Yeah, well, so,
I just realized.
So yeah, this Alice is a French woman, and the story goes that Will went to France to open a restaurant, and because he liked the cuisine, he met Alice there and married her there.
I do think it is kind of funny how they just kind of throw that in, where it's like, oh, also this guy freaking loves food. Just not really relevant at all, other than like, oh, he has a kitchen.
We never get a scene proper inside the restaurant, but what we do get of the restaurant is enough.
Yeah.
So we then jump forward an indeterminate amount of time to Will's funeral, in which we're introduced to the rest of the family. Will's mother, Susan, played by Tandy Wright, his father, Edgar, played by Errol Shand, and his grandma, who appears to have dementia or some form of memory impairment.
Yeah.
Played by Maud Davey. Her name's Polly.
She's the best character in the whole movie.
Yeah. So they are all going to his funeral, and there's this movie does retain some of the evil sense of humor that the old Sam Raimi movies have, because they go and the person running the funeral is like, oh, I know there's a construction site nearby, but don't worry, they're leaving by 12. And then we cut to like a teary-eyed eulogy, and in the middle of the eulogy,
just the loudest jackhammer you've ever heard
goes out, and it's like it's echoey in the room too, and
it's like shaking.
Yeah, and Alice kind of feels alienated from the rest of the family. She can tell that the parents don't really like her, but Joseph, at least the brother, is on her side.
He makes an effort.
Yeah. The parents, though, blame Alice for the crash that killed Will. And during the funeral, the person running it says like, oh, Alice, you were his wife. Do you want to say a few words? And she says, I didn't prepare a speech. She's also wearing like a hoodie and sweatpants and like sneakers to this funeral, which also sets off the parents a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's some evidence, a lot of evidence, I'd say, of a very strange relationship that will eventually become outright, like we'll realize that it's outright abusive.
Yeah.
And very one-sided later in the movie. But for now, it's just, these people don't seem to really like each other for a married couple.
Yeah. These people kind of hate each other a lot. Yeah. I don't think we get like a single happy scene with them other than footage of their wedding. I don't think we ever see them be happy with each other.
Well, there's one where she hallucinates them almost being happy at the very end.
Almost being happy.
There's a couple of cathartic scenes. I wouldn't say that Alice is really... I don't think that she gets... She doesn't. It's not really like a good situation for her throughout this entire movie. But then after the service, the person, like the one of the guys who works at the funeral home, takes Will's coffin to the back, readies it for cremation, and like puts on this like a rap song and starts like dancing around.
Yeah. I want to say, I thought it was Drake, but also that I might just be completely off, and I don't want to reveal myself as a fake fan. Oh, Jesse's pulling it up. Jesse's pulling up what song it is.
So IMDb has a soundtrack list. I want to see if they have one here for... Yeah, here we are. Let's see. A lot of French music.
Yeah. Wait.
This looks like Paradise featuring Chilla.
Yeah.
That looks right.
Written by Chilla.
Chilla and Double Danger.
Double Danger. Wow. Wunderbar.
So
Can we just do the rest of the podcast in German? Let's just. Guten Tag.
welcome.
Donkey? I don't know. Scheiße. I don't know any more German.
So he's dancing around in the funeral spot. He's like, he turns on the burners and he starts like rapping in front of the burners, and he 3-pointers the rose into the trash
Because his rapping is fire.
So Edgar then goes to the back and is like, hey, my son just died. Let me say goodbye. And he's like, okay, you got 5 minutes, but don't tell anyone else or I'm going to get yelled at.
Yeah.
This is just a funny thing to say to a grieving father.
Yeah, hey, I'll get yelled at, so please do not tell anybody. Do not tell anybody that your son just died.
But Edgar hears Will knocking from inside the coffin and is like, I'm going to get you out of here. You're actually secretly not dead. And so he takes like a hammer and starts busting open the coffin. And who climbs out but, Will's burned up corpse as a deadite. But we don't get to see him as a deadite yet. We just get a close-up of Edgar's face as he, no doubt, rips apart the funeral guy.
Yeah.
From that moment on, something's a little not right about Edgar, and that's something that I appreciate about this movie, is that the deadites can be... Because the deadite MO, like the bottom line, is to cause emotional distress to their victims, which oftentimes, especially in this movie, means disguising themselves as regular members of the family. Where we don't know that Edgar is a deadite formally until a little bit later, and later with the mom as well, with not Alice. What's her name?
Tinda, whatever.
Tinda?
No, that's the actress's name.
Susan. Definitely with Susan later, we also get a little bit of like, well, maybe she is, maybe she isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, the family then head back to this house, and it's an Evil Dead house. The Evil Dead house has they're all like kind of grimy, slimy, crusty, musty, and dusty. Like
that was. Did you have that prepared?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. He was rehearsing it in the car ride. Dusty, musty, lusty. No. Crusty.
They're gross. They're gross houses. They all have that cabin in the woods kind of feel, even though this isn't a cabin in the woods, it's a mansion in the middle of nowhere. And supposedly that house was gifted to Will when he moved to France, but he's let it fall into disrepair. There is then a really intense family dinner scene. There's like the tension's so thick you could cut it with a knife. Alice is trying to be nice, and she's like, "Oh, this food's delicious." And Susan says, "Yeah, it was pre-made. I just baked it like it was just frozen.
I nuked it in the microwave."
Yeah, pretty much. And Alice was like, "Well, it was so good, I couldn't tell." And Susan's like, "Well, that's very concerning because you have to run the restaurant on your own.
What are we doing?"
Right, you have to run the restaurant on your own. How you don't know the difference between fresh and frozen food? At this whole time, Edgar is throwing mean sideways glances at the dog. If you are not into animals dying, this is not the movie for you. This dog dies twice.
Yeah, I was about to say, this dog gets double tapped.
But basically, Alice is like, I don't know if I actually want to run the restaurant. I was thinking of going back to France and being with my family for a little bit. Her husband just died.
Yeah, as you do.
Family's very against that idea. They're like, no, you have to run Will's restaurant. And we get a lot of these little flashbacks of Will yelling at her in the restaurant, throwing pots and pans and forks and spoons and whatnot. And Edgar has had enough, and he decides to stab the dog's face off with a fork.
Like 50 times.
Like,
it's a lot.
And if you were thinking like, oh, do they cut away from it?
No.
No.
No. It's an Evil Dead movie. Why would they cut away from it?
So Edgar now appears to be having a stroke or a seizure of some sort, and so Joseph and Thea are like, oh God, we got to get him to the hospital. So they load him into the car where he is unhappy. He looks to be passed out, but then he wakes up And Thea's like, he's awake. And he starts fighting them in the car. He runs them off the road. They crash into a tree. He rips off the car seat headrest of the passenger seat. Joseph gets out of the car, watches as Edgar stabs the headrest into Thea's face, and then Joseph runs, much to the dismay of many of the people in our theater.
Yeah, some woman said, "He's still running?" And we found that very amusing.
It was pretty amusing.
But yeah, Joseph he's a kind of a bum and a coward and a pussy. But
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that gets resolved later.
Whoa. Meanwhile, Alice finds some of the pages from the Necronomicon that Benjamin had and that Joseph was then ordered to throw out. And she reads like the first 3 out of 4 sacred words, and then she's like, nah, I'm done.
I'm good.
Crisis averted. Movie's over.
Movie's over.
Nope. But they were like, okay, you know what? She read most of the Necronomicon. Let's give her like a light deadite. So the dog busts through the door
shows up
and starts attacking her. Joseph gets back to the house eventually. And then Thea also gets back to the house. Except she has the headrest still stuck in her face, and she's very clearly a deadite.
Yeah.
She rips it out, walks over to this little candelabra that was created by Susan, takes one of the candles, and then drinks the wax. You're not supposed to do that.
Funny enough, you're not actually. I went home and tried this. Do not. I have mega cancer now.
So they lock Thea in the basement, a la Evil Dead 1 and 2. And 3.
And 3. And
Probably 4.
And 7. And
in 5, they just lock her outside.
Yeah. Well, they also lock a different guy outside in this movie, too. Well, I guess he doesn't really get locked outside. He just kind of, like, stands out there for, like, 40 minutes.
Polly also had previously accused Thea of trying to steal from her because Thea is a person of color and she's old and racist.
Yeah.
And so she was like, oh, a thief. And then Thea is like, hey, Polly, can you get me out of the basement?
Yeah.
And Polly's like, okay, but only if you promise to return that money that you stole, even though she didn't actually steal anything.
She didn't.
And she's like, yeah, sure, I'll do that for sure. And so Polly opens the door.
And surprise, surprise, she does not get her fake money back. I was really mad at that. I said, this is a huge injustice, and I think she should be punished for this. And she does.
So Thea goes around really just like trying to kill everybody, trying to find the dagger. And she does not. She's unable to find the dagger. But what she does do is she catches Polly, and Polly's like, okay, fine, the money's under my mattress, take it. And Thea plucks out like her little dentures, her front teeth dentures, and then licks them and sucks them and gets her saliva all over them and then puts them right back, which turns Polly into a deadite.
Yeah. Also, she like licks a guy's face, and yeah, this movie's freaky.
So, Polly is then pushed down the stairs and smashed in the face with the folding chair about 1,000 times. So she has no face.
Yeah.
She is all out of face. And that seems to do a pretty good job of, like, you know, shutting her up for a while.
Yeah, for the most part.
How deadites die is always a weird kind of subject in Evil Dead movies, because in the 2013 Evil Dead, they literally define rules for how to kill a deadite,
really?
And then do not follow those
just
rules.
Immediately abandon.
Just literally, it's like, oh, you can if you cut off all their limbs and then their head, they die. Or if you just chainsaw them, like normal style.
Like normal style.
So how do you actually kill a deadite? Hard to say. But
they have to use the knife in this movie. The
right.
Knife
The only
is the MacGuffin.
The true way to do it is with the Kandarian dagger. And the Kandarian dagger is hidden somewhere in the house. Only Joseph knows where it is. But Polly is now being put to sleep by Susan, and nobody knows that Polly's a deadite yet. And she convinces Susan to let Edgar into the house. Edgar, who previously, after shooting the dog, had waited while they all stood outside the house because they all, when Thea came in, they like ran outside the house and were like, all right, we got to get out. But then Edgar was outside and he shot himself 3 times in the face from different angles.
He was just kind of straight aura farming for a good half an hour.
So Polly uses the trick of motherly love to convince Susan to let Edgar in. Susan and Edgar kiss, which means that Susan will now slowly become a deadite over the course of the movie.
They make out sloppy style.
Yeah. So Susan tries to get Joseph to tell the deadites, they all share one consciousness evidently, where the dagger is. And Joseph almost does, but then he doesn't. And then Edgar attacks the family. And Susan said like, oh, just leave Joseph alone. I'll get the information from him. But Joseph attacks. And thus begins my favorite sequence in the movie. It was a trailer. They released it on its own as a trailer, which is a little unfortunate because it's such a good scene, but also it makes for a damn good trailer.
It does.
It's a one take shot in which Alice is crawling on the floor away from Edgar, who we only ever see in the background is throwing stuff around and attacking both Susan and Joseph, and she crawls around, and we can actually see in the background Edgar is floating, which is something that Deadites can do as canonized in Evil Dead Rise. And Edgar is attacking Joseph, ruining all the furniture. Meanwhile, Alice is crawling away, and every so often she has to stop and cover her face, and she's like screaming the whole time.
Yeah.
And then she eventually crests like the stairs, and she's on the side of the stairs, breathing really heavily, manages to open the door to like this, like the basement stairs.
The little goblin house.
Yeah, yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah, the goblin house.
Yeah, of course.
And so she is there, and then Edgar throws Joseph through the door, and Joseph says like, you got to find the dagger before they do. And then Joseph is killed, and that was all one take. And then finally we get a cut, but like that is such a good scene.
Yes, yeah.
It's so good. Alice has flashbacks that then sort of make it real that she was in a really horribly abusive relationship with Will. And that's through the restaurant as he's throwing pots and pans, and now he's throwing them at her, and he's hitting her, and he pours boiling water on her. And so Alice is like, you know what? I gotta kill these deadites. It's easier that they're her in-laws. But she grabs a rotary saw and just, she's like, all right, time to go to town. And I don't think she gets to use it like once.
I think at one... No, you're right. Yeah, no.
So there's once where it's almost used against her.
Yeah.
So Joseph had previously used the $10,000 pen to stab Edgar in a futile attempt to escape. All that it did was give the Deadites access to the pen.
Yeah.
Right? That's not one of the good guys' weapons anymore. But Alice, she goes up the stairs, and then Polly attacks her with a pen and sticks it into her ear. Ugh. And the sound design that they do on that pen and ear
is
thing,
so good.
It's so good. I mean, after this little scene that we go through, Alice will try to pull the pen out, and it literally is the sound of like you got like needle nose pliers on like a tiny microphone.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, it's so
and it even
nasty.
The pen breaks off in her ear, and so she has to go back and do it again.
Ugh, it's brutal.
It really is. So Polly then takes the saw and like pushes Alice's face down onto the saw and is like, Susan, you got to press the button to start the saw. You got to press the button to start the saw. You need to. But Alice is just able to get Polly to like back off a little bit by using the stair lift that was in the house. She eventually ties Polly's leg to the stair lift and forces her downstairs, and she doesn't end up killing Susan even though she thinks that she should.
Yeah.
Joseph falls through the ceiling. Kind of as like a side note, he's been fighting Edgar this whole time.
They've just been kind of doing like a Benny Hill thing for a while now, just in and out of the walls.
Yeah, and so then Joseph falls through the ceiling and finally like actually dies. Alice then ties Susan to this like toilet in the bathroom while she pulls the pen out of her ear and says like, "Hey, Susan, Will is an abusive maniac." She shows like this huge scar she has on her side from the boiling water.
Yeah.
And not only was he crazy and abusive, you knew.
Mm-hmm. And you didn't do anything.
And you didn't do anything. And even still, you're insistent that Alice continued to love Will even as he's dead.
Yeah.
Susan's like, all right, you know what? You're right. I hate you, Alice. And then she turns into a deadite.
Yeah.
Alice fights her, escapes into the attic, and finds this box. And she's like, oh, the dagger's in here. And she spills out the contents of the box. And there's like 1,000 daggers.
It's a very Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Like, oh, she has to try out like 4 different daggers until she gets like the smallest, lamest looking one. And then it's like, oh, that's it.
That's the Kandarian dagger.
That's the little one.
And that's what it does is it frees the body from the possession of the deadite. So like, you can disable the body of the deadite, but that doesn't necessarily stop. That doesn't kill the deadite. It just kills the body.
Yeah.
But this kills the deadite and it flees into however many other bodies it's going to be in.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what makes the deadites so powerful is that no matter what, like you can't kill the force of the deadites unless you kill every single deadite with the Kandarian dagger.
Yeah.
Or do some other thing like there's
or you just chainsaw them apparently.
Yeah, well there's 3 sacred words that can kill the deadites that are in Army of Darkness.
Oh, yeah.
Klaatu Barada Nikto, which is a reference to The Day the Earth Stood Still. But Ash never says them. So
yeah, no. Doesn't he like mispronounce them or something?
Yeah, he says Klaatu Barada.
Yeah, he kind of mumbles the last one.
Yeah, because he doesn't remember. It's a very funny scene.
It is.
He didn't say all the words exactly, but yeah, basically I said them.
You get the gist.
Yeah. So Joseph attacks her in the attic. She tries all the different daggers. The lame one is the correct one. Alice gets onto the roof now because she drops like the dagger off the roof, and it goes perfectly into like the front step, like handle up. And so she's going into the roof, and she goes up to the chimney. And she climbs through the chimney, and she has the saw or some sort of weapon. Yeah. Because I remember she gets into the chimney, and then Susan comes in after her, and she just puts the weapon up.
Yeah.
And just
saws her head off, and it's gnarly.
Yeah. We also didn't mention this, but one of the good kills is like, Susan made chicken skewers for the dinner, like way back when. Yeah. And she puts all the skewers in with the blades up because, that's what needs to get washed in the dishwasher. And then when Thea attacks the house, she pushes Joseph back onto the knives and the skewers that were facing up, which is a good scene.
It is. I really enjoyed it. for other reasons. No, I'm joking. Of course, I jest.
So yeah, she with the saw she kills Susan and Edgar, and then she sets the house on fire. But then the dog is still possessed, so she kills him with the dagger. And then who's there? It's Will. It's Will in his burned, decrepit body.
Yeah,
and he comes in and he's like, "I'm gonna kill you." You're gonna die.
Hey, lady.
You're gonna straight up die.
I'm gonna murder you with my fire. That's what he says.
He chases her to the construction site where his funeral was held. They go onto the construction site itself, and Alice is trying to see if there's any workers there because they're like trailers. So she's like, "Oh, if there's anyone here, maybe I can get help." But it ends up not being the case. He pushes her into a tar pit. It's not filled with tar yet, but it will be. And she skewers her ankle on like a
the
spike.
rebar.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, and she has to pull herself up from the dagger, or not the dagger, from the rebar before the tar consumes her.
Yeah.
And she does, and then she hits she attacks Will with the dagger,
Yeah.
But as soon as she does, his like flesh sort of reforms, and it kind of looks like Will is like alive again.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like, oh, he's good now.
Yeah, he's good.
He's good now.
He's
and
nice
so
again.
that's sort of like, oh no. But then the illusion kind of shatters, and she kills him with a jackhammer.
Yes, which is so incredibly sick.
Yeah, sick and also symbolic because the jackhammer was interrupting.
It was.
Because he
wasn't really dead.
Because he wasn't really dead. He was dead-ite.
He was dead-ite. He was dead. He was dead light, deadish. That sucks.
Editor, cut out this episode.
Editor, remove the entire episode. 40 hours of silence.
So Alice then collapses because she has a lot of wounds, but the paramedics show up and they rescue her, and she's smoking a good old cigarette in the back of an ambulance. Have you seen Ready or Not?
The like hide and seek.
Yeah, the hide and seek movie.
I know of it, but I have not seen it.
That reminded me of a scene in Ready or Not.
Okay.
So the paramedics are like, "Who did this to you?" And she's like, my ex-husband.
Which is, fair enough. They do tend to do things like that.
And then there's some sort of suggestion that she might actually be possessed by a deadite because she got a lot of blood on her. Her eyes kind of start to go yellowish. So I don't know, maybe she has a deadite. Then there's the credits roll, but there's 2 additional scenes. There's a mid-credit scene in which we see Polly, who escaped by hacksawing her own leg off.
Yeah.
And because she had the other one amputated medically, she has no more legs.
No more legs.
And she's crawling down this road, and this person pulls over and is like, "Oh my God, what happened? Are you okay?" And Polly's like, "Well, she took me legs, but yours will do just fine." And so she
presumably kills her. Possesses her.
There's also a post-credit scene, which we missed in the theater.
I did not know about that.
But it connects to Evil Dead Rise. We see someone in the crematorium find the ashes of one of the deadite from Evil Dead Rise. And they're like, "Huh, that's weird. Why is there like this? Why is there ashes here? Why is there this corpse that hasn't been crematoriumed yet?" But
cremated? You mean cremated?
But then Deadite Ellie, who was the deadite from Evil Dead Rise, played by Alyssa Sutherland, comes and kills the person there. And that's the end of the movie. That's the last scene in the movie. It connect back to Evil Dead Rise at the very end and at the very beginning. So this is kind of like a side story in the whole Evil Dead Rise canon, if you think about it. It's like, oh, Evil Dead Rise, this also happened after Evil Dead Rise. So maybe Evil Dead Wrath, which is the next one, will go back to Evil Dead Rise. I kind of hope not. I didn't like Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah, I've heard that it's not great.
I liked it, but it wasn't. The characters were the least interesting part of it, and the best performance was the Deadite performance. So it's like...
You kind of find yourself rooting for the cool person.
Right, yeah.
I want the entertaining person to win. Fuck these guys then.
Yeah, but this is also a pretty common theme. At the end of these Evil Dead movies, the main character may or may not be possessed by Deadites, but we have yet to see a movie in which the main character actually is.
Yeah.
But that could be Evil Dead Wrath. Who knows?
It could be.
So, credits have rolled. We're out of the theater. What did you think about Evil Dead Burn?
I thought it was a very, very, very competent movie. I gave it. Oh wait, no, I don't. I remember from last time. I don't say it yet. I don't say it. I don't say it. I don't know. I really liked it. I do think it was nice how it went in a kind of new direction, and I thought like all of the action was like pretty damn good. It was all very, very entertaining and well choreographed.
Yeah. That was the best part of it for me, at least, was the kills, right? Like there's a lot of very interesting kills, and Sebastian Vanacek clearly has an eye for scary imagery.
Yes.
Which is very important when you're directing a sort of gore and blood forward horror movie. And of the parts of the original Evil Dead that this tries to capture, it's definitely the brutality and the cruelty. Yeah. Because this is a bleak movie.
At one point, when Joseph, what's the dad's name? Edgar shoves Joseph's face into Thea's like mutated face and is like, is this good enough for you? And he like makes him kiss her. That got a lot of from the audience, which fair enough.
We watched this with a very receptive audience. I don't think I've had an audience this receptive since when I last watched Obsession in theaters. And we watched a Minions movie in theaters with like 20 kids. Yeah. And they were not as receptive as the adults were to this movie. Yeah. So, take that for what it's worth.
Yeah. I really liked it. One thing that I thought, I don't know, I think when they did, I thought the humor by itself was good, but it kind of felt like somewhat disconnected from the rest of the movie. I don't know, obviously it's like Army of Darkness is I keep going on about it, but it is so damn good how everything kind of flows together. I feel like with this movie, it's okay, action, and then a cutaway to the funny grandma going up the stairs, and I feel like they were kind of almost disconnected, the humor and the action, which is I would have liked to see it blend together maybe a little bit more.
I think that is fair. And I think that this is the best Evil Dead movie not directed by Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
I think it's better than a couple of the movies Sam Raimi did direct.
A couple?
2, yeah.
2? I think it's better than Evil Dead 1 and 2?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
I do. Okay, here's the thing with Evil Dead 1 and 2 for me. I think I watched them wrong and I had my expectations misset for them because I was expecting Evil Dead 2. I'd heard, part remake, part sequel.
Yeah.
It's mostly remake, not a lot of sequel.
A little bit.
We really rushed through all of Evil Dead 1 in the first maybe 20 minutes of that movie. Yeah. And the rest of it is here's what Sam Raimi actually wanted Evil Dead to be. It doesn't feel like a sequel as much as it's just, here's Sam Raimi who had the opportunity to take a second swing at his teenage passion project.
And do it even better.
Which is cool. And that's the better version of the movie. But I think when I was watching it, I was like, I don't think it met what I really thought it was going to be. Yeah. Which is a little frustrating because I probably would have loved the movie had I come into it sort of fresh without those expectations. Yeah. But, expectation is the death of criticism, unfortunately, and can't really stop that from occurring. I can't say that I can't give a speculative rating on Evil Dead 2 if I had seen it right. Maybe I'll rewatch it with my expectations properly set and be able to give a better rating, but as it stands right now, Evil Dead Burn, it's above Evil Dead 2. Dang. And I appreciate about the new Evil Dead movies is that it doesn't only give young filmmakers creative license to show themselves as good horror filmmakers, it gives them creative license to reinterpret the material in different ways. So Fede Alvarez's Evil Dead was about a recovering heroin addict. Yeah. That was about heroin addiction. Evil Dead Rise was about motherhood. And this is about the abusive romantic relationships, right? We had relationships with parents, relationship with substances. Yeah. Ooh, I mean, Evil Dead, the originals feel like relationship with God in a way.
Yeah. I do really I do think it would be really fitting for Evil Dead to almost turn into like an
anthology series.
Yeah, almost an anthology series where it's everybody can kind of come in and do their own thing, and if it's really cool, then they get to go and do better things. And most of them have been cool. 2 of them, from what I've heard, have been cool, and I liked this one. But
yeah, I think that they've been cool. It's cool to be able to see an Evil Dead movie and be like, this is going to be a young filmmaker doing something interesting with horror, doing what they want with horror, and it puts them on the map. Yeah. I will be going to the theater to see the next Sebastian Vanacek movie. Yeah. Lee Cronin, I did, I went to the theater to see the next Lee Cronin movie.
You did.
Not making that mistake again.
Yeah, no.
Fede Alvarez, right? I'm Alien Romulus, and I didn't see Don't Breathe, unfortunately, but I will. Because, these filmmakers come in and they prove themselves with sort of something that you can come in and have expectations leading up to it. You know what the deadites are. You know roughly how they operate.
Yeah. It doesn't need a whole lot of exposition. Right. You already know the deal. You can get straight into kind of the meat and potatoes of it.
Evil Dead is its own genre, effectively.
Yeah, pretty much.
there's zombie movies, there's horror movies, there's slasher movies, there's Evil Dead movies.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's the restaging of Evil Dead and the reinterpretation of Evil Dead and the little nuances. The fact that the core is the same lets the little nuances shine so much more, which is what makes it such a good creative forum for horror filmmakers.
Everybody can do their own thing with it.
And it probably is my favorite horror franchise.
Yeah.
Like, unless you count Godzilla, but like it's up there at the very least.
I'm trying to think of any other than Evil Dead, like I don't know, Friday the 13th, Saw, Nightmare on Elm Street.
So Nightmare on Elm Street. So all of those I've only seen like one. I've seen 3 Friday the 13ths, and they are good. But I think that the creative forum aspect of Evil Dead is what does it for me, because Friday the 13th was very studio controlled for a very long time, and especially in the later ones, it's like
Jason goes to space and he goes to New York.
I mean, in the later ones, they literally made movies explicitly as set up so that they could do Freddy versus Jason at some point,
which is so ridiculous.
It's like the 7th movie is like it's I don't know. I don't like. There's good and bad about them, but as far as I'm concerned, Evil Dead, 6 movies over the past 45 years, and they've all been good, and they've all been interesting.
And they've all been Evil Dead 1 and 2 are very similar, but other than that, they've all been very unique.
They've all been unique, yeah. Evil Dead 1 and 2 are similar, but they've been bloody, they've been gory, they've been good horror movies, but beyond being interesting, beyond having those subtleties that tell you a little bit more about the director's style. They're just damn scary movies.
Yeah, and the unique part about this one is that the guy is French. There's so much French music in this movie.
There's a lot of French music in this movie. They play their wedding song at the funeral.
Yeah.
And later on, the Deadites play the wedding song while they're killing everybody.
Which I thought was a very, very good needle drop. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Yeah, and the main character, Alice, slips into French occasionally when she's in danger. Which is fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's I think like the first, unless you count the incantations that are present in the Necronomicon, it's like the first one where they speak a different language.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Next movie's Russian Evil Dead. Straight Russian Evil Dead. If you don't learn Cyrillic, you're not gonna be having a good time. Yeah, so have they announced who is directing the next one?
The next one is being directed by Francis Galuppi, who directed Last Stop at Una County, which I heard was good.
Okay,
the remake of 3:10 to Yuma, I think.
Oh, yes, you did tell me that.
Or connected to 3:10 to Yuma in some way, because there was like an actual remake of 3:10 to Yuma called 3:10 to Yuma.
Yeah.
And that's not the Francis Galuppi movie. But supposedly, Evil Dead Wrath is like a prequel.
Oh, really?
Supposedly.
Oh, yeah, prequel. Oh,
I don't know what the prequel is to, like if it's to the original Evil Dead or what. But yes, it's a prequel.
Will we finally get to meet all of the scientists who are always screaming on the recordings and saying, don't read the book, And sometimes Bruce Campbell's there and he's saying, I'm Ash,
This is the first Evil Dead movie without Bruce Campbell.
I was mad. I was so mad. I thought the post-credit scene was going to have him in it, and I said, ooh, I bet it's Bruce Campbell, and then it was the stupid grandma, and I walked out of the theater.
It's so funny, because I thought that, like, oh, this post-credit scene is going to be Bruce Campbell. I've thought that for the last 3 movies.
And it just hasn't been?
It just hasn't been. So there's a post-credit scene in Evil Dead 2013 that is just Bruce Campbell in a dark room, and he turns to the camera and goes, groovy.
That's funny. That's good.
That's the post-credit scene.
Yeah. All right. That is Ash Williams.
Yeah. But then,
I wanted him to be in this, but also
he's
it's
a voice in Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah.
He's not in this one.
I mean, he has cancer right now, so it's like, okay, I can understand him not wanting to like work, but you don't think they could have like a picture of him in the background? They
did that in Sent Help. The new Sam Raimi movie.
Really? They did? Oh,
in the new Sam Raimi movie, Dylan O'Brien inherits a company from his dad, and there's a portrait of his dad on the wall, and it's Bruce Campbell.
Like so many shots in this movie of them like flipping through old pages of this book. You couldn't think they could put like one like chainsaw hand question mark.
There is actually a reference to the original Evil Dead in this movie, because as they're flipping through the book, there's a little news clipping that says, 4 bodies found in cabin in the woods.
Yeah,
It's
in
like,
1984 or something.
Right, yeah, like that's a reference to Evil Dead. Like that's the first Evil Dead. So there's like sort of a reference there, which is nice. Like it's cool that they're keeping a continuity, even if it's like these stories are completely disconnected.
Yeah,
there are characters from Evil Dead Rise that I guarantee you didn't recognize because you haven't seen it, but that didn't impact your enjoyment.
Who?
The Deadite at the beginning.
Oh, other than that, is there anybody else?
They were in the post-credit scene. The Alyssa Sutherland character shows up. But like, you know,
no, I did not recognize the Deadite. I just knew that was a bad lady.
There are connections, but they aren't huge connections.
Yeah, they're pretty. It's like, okay, if you know, you know, but if not, you don't. I didn't recognize them, and it's like, oh, I know that is the evil woman, and she is killing those guys. Okay, right. I've got it.
It's a very It's cool because there's a low bar for entry on these Evil Dead movies, but there's a high level of depth that you can get out of them.
Yeah,
and that's cool. You know, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
It's such like you said earlier, it's such just like a solid
anthology
foundation where it's you can
foundation for an anthology, I suppose.
Yeah. I literally forgot the word right as it was such a strong premise where it's like, oh, evil book and zombies. Okay. You can do so many things with that. I really, really love like I know this is kind of completely unrelated. The Star Wars Visions. Yeah. Yeah, it's like I think that's so cool when like there's a big universe and it's like, oh, we can just give like 40 different people, they can do whatever they want with it.
Right. Yeah. No, it's cool, and like if you're on board with any Evil Dead movie, you're going to be at least on board with all of them. Yeah. I'm sure there are some that won't work for you, but you're going to be on board for all of them if you're on board for one of them, and if you're really on board, then you'll get the subtleties, and then you'll see the styles. And I think it's a perfect place for that. Of like, oh, do you want to know what Fede Alvarez's directing style is? If you watch Evil Dead and you've already seen The Evil Dead, you can glean the differences. Yeah. So I really appreciate the franchise, and I'm really happy that Evil Dead Burn is a pretty fantastic installment into it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so with all that being said, should we just jump into ratings?
Is there anything else to do?
No! Do you have more to say?
No, I don't have anything more to say.
That's what I thought.
Wow, this is messed up. I'm never returning. Jesse's kicking me out of the podcast. Jesse's dog is going to eat me on the way out.
Yeah, it's true.
What the heck? Do I say my rating?
Yeah, say your rating.
Okay. I really liked this movie, and I gave it a very strong 4.5 stars out of 5, and also a little heart because I liked it. And my review was pass the controller. This guy's got to pass the controller. Sub me in, coach. Get me in there.
I give it a 4.5 as well. I also put a little heart next to it because I did enjoy it.
Yay!
Yeah, with that being said, if you enjoyed this episode, if you have something to say about what we said, what we didn't say, anything at all, really, put it in the comment section down below. We read every comment, and we will read them out on a future episode of the Weekly Spoiler Review. We don't have a comment today, but we did get a comment a while ago that I think we must have forgotten about. But I'll ask the question to you. The question is, what's the best Scream movie? And it comes from @SorellaBear on YouTube.
What is the best Scream movie?
Yeah.
Who is this?
This is Sorella Bear on YouTube, friend of the show.
Sorella Bear, I am very sorry to say I have not seen a single Scream movie. So I don't know the first one.
The first one is the best one.
Okay, then the first one.
I quite like the newer ones by Radio Silence, and I don't quite like the sequels by Wes Craven. So take that into account. But I
didn't realize Wes Craven did the sequels.
Wes Craven did the first 4.
Oh, he did all of them. Oh, my bad then. I didn't realize Wes Craven did any of the Scream movies, to be fair. So
yeah, I would say the first one. I think Max also says the first one, and Logan has only seen the first one. And the 7th. We hated the 7th.
You hated the 7th. Also, I'm seeing a new comment on here that says Jack is the best member of this the best guest on this podcast, and you should give him complete creative control. Also, do a whole episode in German. That's a big theme throughout this episode.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they say
yeah, you can edit this one for me.
Hey, editor, delete that. Hey, Jesse in the future. Hi.
Yes, with all that being said, plugs, we have an Instagram. It's at @post_credits podcast on Instagram. Max usually does this plug, so I don't know what to say, but it's cool. You should listen to it or watch it. What do you do on Instagram?
You observe.
Observe.
You kind of observe a little bit.
Observe our Instagram.
Yeah.
We also both have Letterboxd. On Letterboxd, I'm Threnvy. That's THRNV. As I said before, I have a ranking of every Evil Dead movie, including Burn. I have a review for Evil Dead Burn Up, and I also have a review up for Michael Mann's directorial debut, Thief.
My Letterboxd. Is that annoying? Is that annoying that I say that? Letterboxd.
That's how you say it.
I've only ever heard people say letterbox.
It has a D.
I know, but I only hear people say it, so I didn't know if it was a silent D. my account is on everything Mad Farter for life, the number 4. I'm the Mad Farter for life, and I'm currently figuring out how to do like little hand signs to match it. So yeah, I'll keep you updated.
Don't forget it.
Don't forget it. You'll rue this day if you forget it.
Yeah, with all of that being said, Klaatu Barada Nikto, roll credits.